the agenda. Sorry, that's my dog playing with his toy. We need to approve the agenda and the minutes from last month. So I would entertain a motion on that.
I move to approve.
Second.
Awesome. Any negatives? Okay, thank you guys. And then is Ted here yet? There you are, Ted. Hey, do you have a treasurer's report or you want to keep it moving?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say something real quick. I've checked out the bank today. We have in our account, well, we're gonna get hit with another $10 for under the limit for the checking account. So we'll have about $588.54 coming into the end of the month. I just want to say that we are now slated to have a $2,000 ceiling on costs next year. I think that we'll be okay with that. Some of the things that have been purchased previously were good on Zoom till mid next year, and we're good on Wix throughout the year. So some of those larger expenses, we'll be able to handle within that budget without any problem. The only thing that is kind of popping up is when we have consultants, when we pay consultants to do things, those are heavy ticket items, and it doesn't take long, at $150 an hour. If we have paying consultants for, the money to go pretty quickly. So that's something we'll need to think about. The other thing I would like, please, is that any expenses that happen in the future, either give them to me so that I can have Christina look them over, or give them to Christina so she can look them over, and then please direct them to me so I can make payments directly from the checkbook to the vendors. It's been very nice to have some people use their credit cards to solve problems, solve those expenses, but it makes it difficult for me to keep really close control of, where the money is, and make sure that I'm reconciled with the bank. And again, if we get hit, at $10 a month for being under the baseline amount for the checking account, that's $120 a year. So that's something that we might want to consider. I know that I was talking with it's now Columbia today, and they said that they've lowered that number, but I suspect that number is still $1,000. So that's it's just a consideration. But we're doing okay, and I think that we can operate within the the new $2,000 window.
Ted?
Yes.
I just have a comment about the consultants. That was the reason a long time ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, we dropped the website consultant and had somebody else doing the website. And now, for a long time, it was me, and now it's Christina. So the burden is on us to do it, with the exception that we do hire Dan Cox once in a while, and he's kind of expensive.
He is.
So we need to find somebody else.
Well, I have a card for another individual here in town, and I'll pass that on to Christina so she can have a talk with this person and see if she likes this individual, and perhaps his rates will be a little bit more competitive.
All right, cool. Thank you both. Is that it, Ted?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Let's see. Law enforcement. Do we have a commander, a boss here? I do not believe we do, but the report is in the latest agenda that I sent you guys, and it's on our website. So just email if you have any questions on that, because I don't see him here. But I do believe we have our awesome Commander Janusa. Yay, Darren, there you are. Okay, do you want to go ahead?
Hi, Christina. Thanks for having me tonight. I'm glad I'm able to join.
Thanks for being here. Go ahead.
So I emailed my information, but I'm going to read from it because it's hard to do on my Zoom meeting, looking at the screen with a small font. I'm going to report third quarter statistics for the Templeton CHP area tonight. And this will be compared to 2024. So numbers have gone up in good areas and in bad areas. Total crashes investigated in this period were 22. That's up 38%, 16 in 2024. Of those, 10 were on the highway, 12 on county roads. 15 of those crashes were property damage only. 7 were injury related. There were 2 DUIs. 1 was on the highway and 1 on county roads. Fortunately, no fatalities. Enforcement contacts have gone up significantly, 185, up over 2,500%, believe it or not, as a number. There were 7 enforcement contacts, same period in 2024. Of those 185, 117 resulted in citations issued, 64 for speeding. Those speeding violations were on the highway, only a few on the county roads, 3 of them. None for over 100, thankfully. 6 seatbelt violations, and there were 3 DUI arrests. Those were on county roads. Total enforcement's gone up significantly in this period, and I asked some officers here why has that occurred? And 2 things. Number 1, our staffing is up significantly this time from the same period last year. For Cambria to get a highway patrol officer required 4 officers to be on duty, and we just didn't have that many people to we call it a priority to have an officer out there full time. Now we have been deploying 3, 4, 5 officers per shift. You guys may have been seeing them out there. So number 1, our staffing is up, and then number 2, our deployment strategies, the direction that we've been doing from our leadership here is that Cambria and all our communities are must see a presence of our CHP officers, and so that is increasing our awareness and presence out there. Typically, Cambria only got a highway patrol officer when there was a call for service. Say somebody was broke down along the highway or within town or on a county road, maybe up the coast. Then the officer came from up here in the North County and drove the 30, 40, 50 minutes all the way out to town. And then when they handled the call, they got back because, of course, the freeway up here is much busier, but it just left Cambria hanging with no CHP presence. Now I'm just thankful and glad that we're able to provide a better service going forward. And I don't see any change in the near future. Our staffing is still strong, although we do have we did have a retirement today. A guy left after over 20 years, but we're getting a replacement who is coming in April 1st. So again, you shouldn't see a change in our staffing. The holidays are strong. Cambria Christmas Lights is being staffed as we speak. So you'll see that going on, and we just hope it's a safe and happy holidays for everybody involved this time of year. With that, I don't have anything else to report, but I'm open to any questions or comments.
All right, thanks. Ted, you have your hand up. Do you want to go ahead?
Yes, I do have a question. First of all, thank you very much for all you are doing to enforce our laws. One of the things my Universalist community, we do 4 miles of Adopt a Highway, 2 miles on Highway 1 and 2 miles on Highway 46 between Dover and York. That's actually my beat. That section of 46 has several turnouts, and I've been trying to work with the Caltrans people with that. In those turnouts, people are dumping stuff. I mean, I can't even begin to describe all this stuff. I must have picked up at least several cases of beer bottles the last time I was up there earlier this week. Sections of fencing were tossed up behind the rocks. We find tires and people going to the bathroom up there. It's really pretty ugly. So, when people pull out in there, the big question is what the heck are they doing? And I would really like whenever you have an officer cruising that area and see people pulled out to do a wellness check. What's going on? Why are you pulled over? Are you okay? what's going on here. And of course, if it's just a big party, well, that's a whole different issue. Then there's going to be people who are going to be getting behind the wheel who shouldn't be behind the wheel more than likely. So I'm trying to see, first of all, I'm hoping that Caltrans will put up some littering signs, some fine signs, at least in that area. I've really emphasized that. I don't think that's going to make a lot of difference, but it might make some. It may be a point where, you put in wildlife cameras and find out, what people are doing up there. That's one possible solution. And I don't know if it's possible to just simply chain off part of that so that it's not such a big area and people can sneak into the back and do nasty things. So anyway, it's a great concern. And after picking up after these people for almost 2 years now, I'm really getting a little bit, frustrated with the situation. So I told Ruben, as my contact, that I was going to mention this to you tonight, and maybe between you and Caltrans, we can get something to be done. We do a very good job cleaning up there. I mean, when we get through, it is spick and span. But every time, it's really quite remarkable how much junk we pick up. So if you can help us out in any way, I would be personally most grateful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Key. When you mentioned Ruben, is Ruben with Caltrans?
Yes.
Okay. I'm having a staff meeting with my sergeants tomorrow. I'll bring it up as a talking point. I will reach out to Caltrans. I do know that in several regions around the state, usually this is where there are often truck pullouts. They sign that because when that becomes a litter problem, they give warnings and then they close it off. And you said on State Route 46, various turnouts. Are there any specific ones that you could send me the coordinates on?
Yes, the three on the north side coming up from York. You're coming to the west, going to the west on York. They'll be on the north side. I would say that the middle one is actually the worst because it has a pretty obscure corner on the northwest corner of the lot itself, where they really can tuck themselves in and be pretty well hidden, and that's where the three, not three, more than three, but a bunch of sections of fence were thrown down. I mean, I've seen. You cannot believe well, you can, but the kind of stuff that's back there is just staggering from time to time. And we don't do that. We pick up the bottles, we pick up the trash, we pick up the cigarette butts, we pick up the cans, we pick up, all that. But, when it's big stuff like that, that's just not us. And
I'll communicate with Caltrans to make sure their cleanups are often and occurring. And then as far as our officers, that they make proper contacts anytime they see people out there, especially after hours.
Thank you very much. I truly appreciate that. We feel we're good deed doers, and we'd like to continue to be good deed doers.
If we get any information, I will report back to Christina and share it with you. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Key.
All right, thank you both. It looks like Claudia has her hand up. Go ahead, Claudia.
We have a big problem. I think it's a big problem. We have a big problem with people racing their motorcycles down Main Street and down the highway. We have people with cars they've got to be illegal mufflers or no mufflers. The same probably with the motorcycles. They're extremely loud. And I did stop I think it was a sheriff. He was on Main Street. And I said, could you just stay here for about 15 minutes? Because I know somebody will come by and, you can give him a ticket. And he said he didn't have time to do that. So I'm not sure exactly what to do about it. But first, I'd just like to ask you a question. If you could answer this for me, is there a noise limit to these vehicles?
I want to say yes, but I feel like that's with an asterisk. I know we have received a complaint about a specific motorcycle in a neighborhood a few months back that we did make that a formal complaint, meaning a traffic complaint. Our officers went out for a period of time knocked on some doors to identify the loud motorcycle. But the racing and the improper driving can be addressed when it's identified. I can't specify a specific decibel level for a noise law off the seat of my pants, but I believe there is something. It's really hard for an officer to do that. They'll have to testify to court. I believe the burden is on the violator, though, if they are cited for a noisy vehicle. But if the officer identifies that kind of violation, they do have the authority to take action.
But they don't normally have the time to do that for just noisy cars and motorcycles, or they'd have to have a decibel meter to cite
No,
something.
no, the officers are on duty 24/7, so they take enforcement action for whatever they perceive to be something they want to enforce. A loud motorcycle, or a loud vehicle, it's kind of officer preference, time of day, and it's not really a large violation for officers. I mean, I've written it as a ticket as a young officer, but I can't say I see it very often. But as it comes across as like in this case, I'll treat it as a traffic complaint. We can go if you have specific times of day, and we can have officers go out there and try to identify them. But your region is so special that at least with the coast closed, we're not getting all the MotoGP and high performance cars that come through. But it's still a destination for the travelers, and those come with special cars.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, yeah, just maybe let them know that, Canberra doesn't really like that really loud noise. We like to be quiet here. So, thank you. I appreciate it. Whatever you can do, when you can.
Thanks for bringing it to my attention, Claudia.
Yeah.
Thank you, Claudia. Ooh, okay, you're in the hot seat tonight. Kermit's got his hand up. Thanks for. Go ahead, Kermit. Are you muted?
Yeah, just
Oh, there you are.
just a video with a sound on it and the license plate being shown be sufficient to send to because like they drive through town and that's it. So, but if you don't like them and you're lucky enough to catch a picture of them, was that suitable to send to you for any kind of action?
Yeah, oftentimes we'll get reported vehicles as violating certain speeding or dangerous driving or parking. And I'll send letters to the registered owner that the license plate returns to and let them know that their vehicle is identified as being involved in some type of misbehaving. And just let them know that they were observed. And hopefully that slows people down or changes their behavior. Sending the vehicles with a complaint, we can follow up on it. And if it comes back locally, it's certainly a lot easier to contact them. If you have any information, please feel free to send it through or call the office.
All right, thank you. Is that good? You're good, Kermit? Okay, awesome. Let me see. I don't think I see, what's that? Any hands? All right, so you're good. Thank you for answering all that. And yeah, we can be in touch. All
Thank you,
right.
Christina.
Have a good night. I assume you're gonna sign off.
I'm heading to Crescent for another meeting. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, let's see. We are on public comment. Anyone have something to say?
Christina,
Oh, what did I do, Karen?
fire
We're skipping over the
chief is
fire chief
next.
report. Okay, so Berkey's on vacation.
Okay.
Matthew, do you want to fill us in on anything?
Sure, thank you. I'll just give you some of the updates from the chief's newsletter. The fire department has remains to continue doing their key training. They recently conducted high angle rope rescue in terms of some of our potential cliff rescues and high angle rescues areas in our vicinity of Cambria. They worked on post-fire decontamination. So when they go into a structure fire and once that structure fire is resolved, they have to learn how to start decontaminating themselves and their equipment. There's incredible amounts of rises in cancer among firefighters. And so this wasn't done, a few decades ago, but now they're going through training on how to decontaminate themselves because that stuff is absorbed through the skin. And we do see a high rate of cancer amongst our firefighters. So they're going through that. They've been doing ocean rescue drills, community outreach, as Christina knows, being a part of our neighborhood liaisons. We've been doing several different meetings, either at the library for folks to sign up and into various different neighborhoods for our emergency preparedness and resiliency. They did their trunk or treat program for the kids. They have their annual burn relay um, for burn survivors, and then fire prevention around the community. And then one of the call volume wise, in November or October, this is reporting on October, they had about 100 calls, 64 of those involved Cambria residents, 20 involved visitors, and the remainder were vehicle accidents and other calls for service. We're recruiting after the board authorized accepting the Safer Firefighter Grant, which this time around it's partially funded and the district has to contribute a certain percentage. So we are currently hiring to fill the fourth firefighter on the engine. Right now we have three firefighters on the engine. The grant will allow us to have a full engine of four firefighters, and so we're going through that hiring. And then our most recent news is I was working with Mrs. Haley Dodson and myself on a grant with Jamie Panetta's office. That started in March of 25. We submitted the grant. It was referred to Washington, D.C., and we just found out that the Appropriations Committee funded us and it was signed into law. So now we are working with the United States Department of Agriculture, who actually manages these grants. It's a reimbursement grant for $935,000 that will fund our engine. Now, the engine itself is going to cost around 1.1. So that covers, I'm not great at math, but let's say that covers about 88% to 90% of the engine. We have to purchase the engine first, which we'll be doing over the next few months, and then we'll begin the long and arduous reimbursement process with the federal government. So it may take a couple years to actually get those monies returned back into the general fund, but it's exciting news. It's huge for our community who has limited revenue streams to actually have that engine funded. So we're super excited. We're super thankful to Congressman Panetta, and there's a few news outlets that'll be pushing that information out, and we'll keep the community up to date. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, Ted, I don't know if your hand's up because you had public comment or if you have a
Public
question.
comment. Yeah.
Okay, and then Kermit, did you have a question for Matthew?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I assume you're not just doing the fire. You're going to be here for general manager, or is this your general manager?
No, this is just reporting for Chief Berkey, who's on a well-deserved vacation.
Okay. Never mind.
All right, thanks, Kermit. I don't see any other hands for the fire chief's report. Okay, cool. Thank you, Matthew.
You got it.
Ted, do you want to go ahead with your public comment?
Yeah, some of you may have been following the sea otter rescue. I've been rescuing animals with TMMC now for almost a decade. Actually, it is a decade. And I'm unfortunately need to let you know that Pepperjack needed to be euthanized. We did an emergency transport up to Sausalito, and the full necropsy hasn't happened, but we ended Pepperjack's misery in the best way we know how. And we hate to do that sort of thing, and we do that sort of thing from time to time. It's obviously a difficult thing to do. And it's one of the many, many reasons why I personally am so protective of our coast. And I know that the people here feel the same way about our coast and our area. And to assure that threats do not be erected off our coast is something that's very important to me. And but I just wanted to let you know that That's what happened with little Pepper Jack.
Thank you, Ted, and thanks for doing that work. Yeah, well, keep us posted on that. I think so many people are interested in that, in the marine mammal rescue. I know when I'm driving and I see them racing somewhere, I'm always like, oh, what happened? Or, when there's an influx. So thanks for keeping us in the loop on that.
You're welcome.
Okay, and I don't see any other hands unless if I'm missing somebody, shout out. Okay, well, it looks like it's time for our supervisor, Bruce Gibson, if you want to go ahead.
Thank you,
Hi.
Madam Chair. A pleasure as always to be with you. And I was racking my brain for what Cambria specific things to talk about. In the last few meetings, I haven't really come across much that was directly related to Cambria. I can talk about code enforcement on Ramsey, have a very brief update on that. But the rest of the activity has been countywide and within the county organization. I'll just mention a couple of things. One is at our meeting, what was it? Just yesterday? My goodness, time flies when you're having fun. We did have a bunch of different things. A couple of them worth noting to me is in one item, we upheld the decision of the Mobile Home Rent Review Board. You may or may not know that mobile home parks in this county are subject to a rent control ordinance. We had a mobile home park operator come in seeking a hardship exemption, but did not provide any real documentation that, according to the standards of that ordinance, to suggest it should be provided. That was appealed from the Mobile Home Rent Review Board to the Board of Supervisors, and I'm very pleased to say we got a unanimous vote to uphold that decision and keep rents reasonable. Big part of affordable housing in our county is mobile home parks. The second thing is a fairly technical change to the way we're going to approach crafting a county budget. I probably need a whiteboard to really do it justice, but the upshot of it is we have a certain amount of discretionary spending. That discretionary spending is not growing as fast as the expenses upon which we would spend it. And so the revenue is not keeping up with the expense growth. So we're constantly in a bit of a bind. We're going to be in another challenging budget year. The state budget, it looks to be needing to deal with a $18 billion with a B deficit. Ours is a $4 to $11 million hole that we're going to have to dig our way out in. But the technical change in how to prep the budget, I think, will result in a more fair distribution of, at least targeted distribution of whatever revenue increases we get. Those distributions will be modified according to board priorities, the efficiency of programs, and a number of other things. But I think it puts us in a better starting place. And then finally, just on the matter of the code enforcement that's been ongoing, Ramsey, that a formal notice of violation was issued with a compliance deadline of December 1st. I have not seen the actual notice, nor do I know exactly what the standard of compliance with that is, but I'm told by our code enforcement office that the property owners have engaged a construction company. They are considering a certain amount of demolition, which I guess is part of there are unpermitted structures on the site. And so code enforcement feels that they're generally heading in the right direction. Again, this is only the code enforcement case. I think, as you remember, we were working as well with the sheriff and the fire department on this. So while, I won't suggest that a miracle is going to happen on the 1st of December, I think we're making some progress here. And with that, I'm happy to take your questions.
All right. Thank you, Bruce. Jeff has a question. Go ahead.
Bruce, is there, we continue to have questions come up when we're reviewing the development plans that are referred our way on street improvements and street improvement plans. Is there a specific person in Public Works that would be able to help us understand what's actually in the county's street improvement plans?
There is. It's the Division Manager of Development Services. We've had a little bit of staff reassignment there, so I'm not sure where that is. But we can find out and get him connected. I can email Christina with that information, and she can get it to your land use committee.
Yeah, that would be great because it really gets confusing when we don't understand exactly what the counties are requiring as part of their street improvement plan. So thank you for that. That would be helpful.
Sure, you bet.
Thanks, Jeff. Ted, go ahead.
Good evening, Supervisor Gibson. Yesterday, I was down at the Harbor Board meeting where one of the items, it was item 6E, was a proposal for a planning study, initial planning study for the work to turn Avila into a support center and the industrialization of that coast area, that port area. And that item really drew people out. We actually had to discontinue the meeting because there were too many people. We were out of compliance with fire code. So they will have to do another meeting in a different venue. And I'm not exactly sure, I don't know that they're sure where that will be. But what I saw was a lot of people like me coming out of the woodwork, knowing, all of a sudden the people of Avila are waking up to what, this whole business of industrializing the port in a service area or of a service center. And my suspicion is they don't like it. I know the people in Cambria really don't like it. And I'm pretty sure that the people in Morrow and now apparently Vistra has said that they will not be constructing a battery center in Morro Bay, period. So what I am going to ask you from you and from the Board of Supervisors, since you have extended the late Mott McDonald study, and that study has had, as far as I know, 0 public comment work done. What I would like to see is 3 town halls, one conducted in Cambria, one conducted in Morro Bay, and one conducted in Avila, where the public can come out and really voice their opinions, and so that the Board of Supervisors and God and everybody can see how much discontent there is out there for this floating offshore project. So that is my formal request of you tonight, sir. And I think that it's only right that the Mott McDonald people acquiesce to the requests of the Board of Supervisors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ted. Bruce, I feel like you got the request.
I can speak briefly to it.
Okay.
I don't expect the board will take that issue up. The contract for that planning has been essentially subcontracted to the different jurisdictions where the planning is to be done. Excuse me, the Port of San Luis, the Port San Luis Harbor District is one. The City of Morro Bay is the other. And since these jurisdictions have their control over what happens within their ports, it's basically their planning study, and so they're going to be in charge of the public outreach. So we'll certainly look forward to that being completed. We expect that the public outreach is going to be robust. We certainly understand the variety of views that exist on the subject. I don't think we, I don't think we have much to learn about that. We know there are folks who are passionate about this on both sides. So I'd have you stay tuned to those jurisdictions, and I'm sure that that public outreach will happen according to whatever schedule we have left on that contract.
Well, it should have happened, in my view, before the end of the first year. I don't know, exactly what's in the contract, but I can assure you the public is on board with being heard, and because I've had my feet on the ground here in Cambria, and I know where they are on it. So
Thank you, Ted. All right, thanks, Bruce. You good? I'm like,
Yeah.
can we move on? Ted, do you mind if we move on to Kermit?
nope.
Okay, perfect. Kermit, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, right there. Yeah, thank you, Bruce, for coming and sitting with us every
Sure.
third Wednesday. And our little party, it seems getting smaller on the screen as the darkness comes in. But anyway, I wanted to ask about three things I have here. One is on your new budget district or for the funds that you get, is there a public process in that that you're going to develop, or is there one currently? I think you have a public component to that currently, and how would we track that other than just pumping you when you show up, all that kind of thing?
Yeah. So this really has to do with the preparation of the recommended budget, and it is a deeply technical thing. We have literally thousands of line items of spending in 26 different departments, hundreds of programs, and all that has to be brought together. Some of these, a goodly chunk of the money comes from the federal and state government as a pass through. Some of it's generated locally, and property tax, sales tax, and transient occupancy tax. All that has to get put together in a budget that addresses the priorities and that the board has identified and the needs to continue programs going forward. So the public part of this starts with the introduction of this we go through, we have updates, excuse me, we have updates periodically. We just had one on looking at our budget balancing strategies yesterday. If you look at that staff report, and we can direct you to it if you need a little assistance, that was item 23 on the agenda. There was in the presentation a timeline, but we'll be coming back with further updates as we understand better the financial situation and various proposals, estimates of what adjustments we have to make to pass a balanced budget. All that culminates in May with the release of a recommended budget, and that's all very detailed. I mean, the paper copy of the budget is literally that thick. I just got this year's paper copy thudded on my office doorstep, and it's a chunk, so it's huge. That budget is out for essentially 30 days of exposure to the public. And then usually the second week of June, we hold budget hearings, go through it section by section, function by function, make adjustments, and there's obviously public input all over that. So that's how this happens. The key, though, is really to get to an initial idea of how much money do we expect to have, how much do we expect to need to spend to continue the programs we have, and then make adjustments according to how things have changed and what the current priorities of the board are. So it's a lot of work before it hits the public space.
Okay. Now we're going to have a couple of presentations by the county staff here. One, we're not sure if we're going to do December meeting or not, but it'd be Andy Bowski coming about the sales tax that's being proposed by the county. And the second one is going to be by the Public Works Department, talking about the upgraded plan that was just sort of made up for Burton Drive walkway. And the cost is pretty high in that Burton Drive walkway, and I don't see how anything gets built for $6 million because that's a lot of money on a very, isolated small project area. But it's an important area, and an important project. Now, part of that getting way to get things, I assume, is the 1% sales tax. And whereas I hate sales tax, but if we're going to get there, we're probably going to have to kick some money in unless, individual donors line up for a tune of $6 million. But the real question is, how do you approach this sales tax? There's a certain amount of salesmanship because it has to go on. So who can you say promotes this? And is this something that each entity, and I'm thinking of the Cambria area, the citizens, whatever, who are you expecting to be the kind of the salesperson to say this is a good idea? Or are you going to do anything like that? Or is that anything that's desirable? And I guess I'm going to talk to Matthew down here McKinney when he comes on. Is the CCSD going to do anything, any kind of statement? And I don't know when the vote is on that.
Yeah, let me respond to that, Kermit. It's a good question, and we have to draw some lines here. So first of all, right now, the San Luis Obispo Council of Governments, that's our regional transportation and planning entity comprised of all 7 cities and the Board of Supervisors, is in the process of getting public information out as to why we think we need this sales tax. We talk about what opportunities it provides. It's called a self-help. It should be targeted at around 0.5% addition. And that at this point we can talk about why it's, what it would do to affect transportation. We can talk and gather public input about how the public would like to see those funds distributed. And one issue there, as you can imagine, is the cities would like a dedicated stream, each for themselves. The county would like a dedicated stream. Perhaps subregions of the unincorporated county would like to think that there would be thoughts about. All this is in the formative phase where we're making the case as to why this is going to get put forth. Once it gets put forth, if it does, and I think it will for the November ballot, then it's going to be up to private groups to campaign for it, because the public agencies that are involved in it cannot spend public funds in order to promote the passage of that. Once under the state constitution, Proposition 218, once that measure is put to the ballot, then the public agencies can't take a role in promoting it using public money, sort of self-dealing, if you will, if that were the case. Last time, in 2016, Measure J had a group that formed. They solicited some funds. They were the campaign arm. The public agencies can provide information, and individual elected officials such as myself can provide endorsement and campaign on our own. We just can't use public funds. So that's where it sits. I certainly think this is something that's long overdue for this county. The details are yet to be worked out. That'll happen early next year. We have to make a final decision, something like August, I think, in order to get it on the November ballot. So that's all in process right now, and I just expect you'll see it. But I urge anybody to engage the public process to learn more about it now, because it is a powerful tool for getting projects done.
Well, we have, 3 projects I think are pretty important. And this is one thing we're kind of debating, that should this council be one of those entities sort of, proposing things and trying to push. And I'm thinking the Burton Drive walkway, the pedestrian crossing against Cross Highway 1 between Fiscally and Ranch areas, which is a Caltrans project, and how does that fit in? And also the crossing on San Simeon. There's 2 public crossings that be lit.
And again, Kermit, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I understand those projects, but you did say something that I think is important. And I've run into this in other advisory councils. When the measure's on the ballot, I would very strongly suggest that your council not take a formal position on it because you are funded by public money. Now, it may be one step removed, but I think my strong counsel on this is for any individual members of the council can have whatever opinions they want on it and be as active as they want to be in the campaign for or against it if there's such a campaign. But as an organization, I'd counsel you very strongly not to take this up because it could get wrapped up in the fact that you are funded by public money. So we've had that in another context, in another advisory council. They understand the issue, and if you have any questions, we can certainly continue this offline if you'd like.
Okay. And that was also what your assistant was going to look up for us was the amount of tax money come to this area, just to give us an estimate of how much money we typically flow out of here to the county on our taxes. What are we worth? That type of thing is sort of a justification of funding requests and so forth.
Kermit, I think if I were to just jump in really quickly, we touched on that. I'm not sure if that was last month. And then I would have you and Jeff Bloom connect because I think, Jeff, did you get some info there? You're shaking your head. And then maybe we can all just circle back and tackle that situation in a bit.
Right.
And then my only thing on that of not taking a formal position is it beneficial if we just try to educate people on the facts and this thing's coming up and this is what it means, but not take a position? Like, these are the pros, these are the cons.
I mean, certainly your role is in educating the public about public issues, and that's fine until such time as it'll be the Board of Supervisors that actually puts it on the ballot. And once it's on the ballot, I would suggest, just because there are people who don't want new taxes in this county, even if they're for great uses, and they're going to take every opportunity to assert that public agencies are campaigning improperly. So until such time as it's in front of the voters, that's fine. I would still avoid any advocacy one way or another. Providing information, links to the SLOCOG website is fine. But again, I think I want to protect your funding stream and your integrity. So I'm going to, again, suggest you tread very carefully. I'm happy to talk to you, Madam Chair. We can fine tune that if you'd like.
Christina, if I could, Bruce, you're not saying though that we shouldn't advance proposed projects to be lumped into that bond measure.
Yeah, well, yeah, and this is not a list of projects that are going to get executed.
Right.
It's the kind of projects that you think you might want to compete for. That are the ones. This is not a matter of putting forth a project and seeing it earmarked in this measure. This is a matter of, here are the kinds of things Cambria would like to see in terms of the improvement of its transportation system that could be affected positively by the sales tax measure.
Well, I think what's confusing is the last time when they presented it to us, there was a list of suggested projects in each area of the county.
And just know that they're suggestions. They're not guarantees.
Right. Okay. And then similarly to Kermit, Bruce gave a report on the sales tax at the last meeting, I believe. But what might be helpful is if we could get a copy of that. I think you got it from a consultant, and it had a breakdown of how much is generated in each of the areas of the county.
Yeah, I think Blake forwarded it to somebody on the council.
Yeah, it's on the transportation.
Yeah, so it's there.
On the transportation inventory thing. If you look on the NCAC slow.
And again, this is countywide, so it's
Right.
all it's interesting how much Cambria, but that's not the point. This is on the countywide total, and then the question of its distribution is again one of the details to be worked out.
Sure.
Okay, cool. Thank you guys. I'm going to keep it moving if you're cool with that. Katie's hands up. Do you want to go ahead?
Sure. I just wanted to thank Supervisor Gibson for the update on the Newton Ramsey situation. That's super helpful to have that. We had a fire safety meeting in our neighborhood over here where we call it the Wilton Circle, which also is Newton and Ramsey. And it was back on October 21st. And it was really a great fire safety meeting. Chief Berkey did his thing, which was terrific. And we had the Red Cross there. And, it was really helpful to the community. And we had a really good turnout. And at the very end, when we opened up the gathering for comments and stuff, almost to a person, like organically, it got to the entire neighborhood talking about how we work so hard to keep ourselves safe and everything, but we have one bad apple, which is creating, a danger to our neighborhood as far as fire safety and flood safety and a million other reasons too. And so I ended up receiving several letters from people within the community. And the remarkable thing about those letters from those that I've collected thus far, and more are coming, which I will continue to forward on to you so you have them for your files, is that these are long-term residents, people that have been here for 25, 30, 40 years. And they have said, we have tried years and years and years to get action on this. We gave up. We didn't think anyone was listening to us. And I sat there with my mouth open, just realizing I wasn't alone and that this neighborhood's been suffering for a while. So I want to say a wholehearted thank you to you and your team and to the code enforcement team for taking action. And I will look forward to hearing as time progresses each month, hopefully positive updates that we'll start to see some like clear and present improvement to what we are considering to be a problem. And I just want to say thank you. And that's kind of it.
It's certainly most of it's what we do. Public safety is the first role of local government. So I know it's a frustrating and long process, but know that folks are working through it. Due process is the key. So
I do appreciate
we'll keep
it.
it
And
going.
I'm sorry I'll still be here every month, the squeaky little wheel. So thank you. I appreciate you.
Okay.
I think Bruce is no stranger to squeaky wheels.
I'm gonna get my squeak on, don't worry.
All right,
for it.
Claudia's hands up. You want to go ahead, Claudia?
Yes. Speaking of health and public safety, I've been told by Kip Moray, I think that Morais, Moray, one of the planners, that he's in charge of, he didn't call it de minimis, but they were called that at the county meeting, de minimis changes to our lighting code, our outdoor lighting code, not just Cambria's outdoor lighting code, but both Title 22 and 23. There's a major problem with the inclusion of 150 watt lamp being okay to not shield, and all the other lights are supposed to be shielded and not trespass beyond the property line. If you have 150 watt LED, it's about 22,000 lumens, something like that, 25,000 lumens. It's very, very light. So I'm very excited about this opportunity. What I was told by the planner, Mr. Murray, is that it should be happening the first of the year. Bruce, what I wanted to say is that people often don't consider outdoor lighting as a health hazard, but it's a really, really dangerous health hazard. And the reason is because when you have light shining into your bedroom window and you're sleeping with this blue-white light, it diminishes your melatonin. And melatonin is a little bit like a thyroid So if somebody took away half of your thyroid, you'd be in big trouble. And it's pretty much the same thing with melatonin. It's a very important chemical in our body. And so this is not just something that, people want to go out and look at the stars. Although tonight or last night, boy, they were out in full force. I mean, that's why I got my little earth thing behind me today. It's not just that. It really, I mean, we have our dark sky events and all that, but the most important part about having dark skies is to protect human health and to help the health of our wildlife, which we have a lot of here, and particularly in Cambria. So the reason I'm bringing this up is that Bruce is here, and I'm one of those people like Katie. I'm still here. 10 years later, we're still trying to get the lane code updated. So what I'd like to know is what you know about the update. Is it going to be next year like January? Is it going to be next year like December? Or what do you know about it?
You're no sound.
Yeah, you're muted, Bruce.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know any of the details of the timing or exactly the content of that update. I had understood that there were some de minimis changes that could be made, and staff thought that could be made fairly simply. There were other larger changes that would take longer time. I know it's been languishing in tier 2 of our priorities. We will be talking priorities for the planning department, I think, at the December 16th meeting. And we'll see where it is, but we'll know. I think that December 16th meeting will let us know much more clearly what the chances and the timeline for progress is.
So I'm not clear. You're saying that if we don't get moved up to priority 1, then they won't make the de minimis changes?
No. What I'm saying is that by December 16th, I should have a clearer sense of exactly what can be done on what timeline. And it may be that there's a package of small changes that can move quickly and larger changes that move less quickly. But I haven't been briefed on any of those details right now. So we'll just have to, and I think the right time is to wait till we get to the priority setting in mid-December.
And so can I lobby to get us back we actually were in priority 1 for a short period of time. Can I lobby to get us back into priority 1?
Sure.
Oh, I guess you can't stop.
And if I had my way, I would be a board of 1, but that's not the way the system works, it turns out. So
okay. And then there's I have another question. Well, there's 2 things. One of them is that, the cost of living keeps going up and up and up. And I'm one of those people that I'm on a fixed income, and I'm seeing that my dollars are going less and less out there. And so if you raise the tax on a larger amount of money, it seems to me you don't need to raise the tax on purchases because the cost of everything's going up so much. The 7.25% is more money than it used to be 5 years ago. So is that being taken into consideration, the fact that you actually have more money? The second part of this is that Cambria puts in more money, millions. We put in more money into the deep black hole of the general fund than any other community in the county, because we have so many tourists and so much TOT tax. And that goes into, like I said, the black hole. I would like to see that money like to see an accounting of that money that goes in and an accounting of how much comes back to Cambria. Because if we're putting all that money in, and I'm with Beautify Camp, we're trying to keep the town beautiful and pretty and cleaned up, and we do trash pickup, the whole thing. We're seeing more and more tourists here and less pickup and cleanup. And we can't even get the county to clean the sidewalks. We can't get the county to do anything. And these are more important than putting a pathway down Burton. In my opinion, we need to take care of what we have right now. And that is that Cambria is getting beat up. The roads are getting beat up. The sidewalks are getting beat up. Some of the sidewalks actually have mold in them. And we can't get the money to fix those things. So anyway, so that's a 2-part kind of question suggestion.
Well, okay.
Could I jump in really fast?
Yeah,
Because Claudia, Blake did
so-
oh, wait, you're going. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead, Christine.
Well, he did a presentation on like where our tax dollars go, and it's a whole thing, and it's linked on our website. So I feel like this conversation might be more productive for those of us who sat through the last one to like go through that and then highlight your questions, and then we'll come back to it because I do feel like it's I mean we might be here all night, but Bruce,
Yeah.
obviously like attempt to answer in whatever way you think you can. But I do feel like part of this, and then the second part of that I think is what Jeff and Kermit are kind of alluding to. So I do think there might be a beneficial maybe coffee at Lynn's to kind of go over some of this stuff between us. But go ahead. Sorry to
I
interrupt.
don't want to take up more time.
Yeah, I think you got it. No, that question of what a community generates and what services it receives is a constant topic of conversation. Unfortunately, there is no simple accounting for that. I mean, you get services of the district attorney. No one on this call, I assume, has had to confront the district attorney on a criminal matter, but that's one of the services Cambria gets, and how you account for how much value you got there. It's really an impossible task. To your other point, though, about the added half-cent sales tax, that is an addition of funding that is specifically designated to the purpose of roads and other transportation issues. And so it adds to the pot. The pot, as I indicated in my budget discussion, is the expenses are growing just like we look at inflation in a personal household. We're subject to inflation in county government. So the current pot isn't keeping up with what our needs are. This half-cent sales tax would create a separate pot that would be directed to a particular purpose. So that's the difference.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And then, but Claudia, I'm serious. Like, I'd be so happy to get together all of us over those documents and narrow down a couple questions.
I'd love to meet you as soon as you have time to do it. So
Okay, all right, I'm
Thank
in.
you.
Okay, let's see if
All right.
we have any other. We don't have any other questions for you, so stay, hang out, go. But thank you for being here.
I'm going to skip out. Any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. And the start of next week, Sherry Gibson will be your chief of staff contact. I would point out we have set up a new email, District 2, District numeral 2 at the Normal County COSLOCAUS. And so as we roll into December, that'll be your new point of contact. Anyway.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. And are you
Take
cool
care.
if I send out that new email when I send the video out so everybody has it?
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, thank you.
Okay, take care, y'all.
Bye.
Have a good evening.
All right, you guys, let's see. So I don't see David here for Fire Safe Focus. And I just got the minutes, and that is my dog crying for attention. I don't know what's going on tonight. Let me just look at this really fast and see if there's something that you guys might need to know. Let's see, the next meeting is going to be December 2nd from 3 to 5. They're having the fire safe meetings at the Presbyterian Church. So anybody that wants to go and join should do that. And it looks like mainly what they were talking about is the Slow Resil, which is, the project that's kind of doing that maintenance on Rancho Marino and Fiscalini, Strawberry Canyon, Cobell Ranch. So let's see, there's a CEQA checklist online for anybody that's concerned about environmental impacts. And next steps is they will be doing burn piles at Rancho Marino and Fiscalini in 2026. It looks like they're doing a native planting in Strawberry Canyon in 2026 too. So maybe Karin will come and tell us about that. And they'll be applying for more forest health grants. Okay, so hopefully let's see. Karen, I'd love that you have a question. Like, I don't know if I can answer it, but give it to me.
My question is, what were you just reading?
Oh, I was reading the Fire Safe Focus minutes from their report from their meeting this month. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Thank
that's
you.
Those are facts. I wasn't just like having a download from the Pleiades. Let's see who. Oh, Brian's hands up. Go ahead.
I just had a comment that I know David Pearson is leaving town shortly, so we need to identify a new spokesman for the Fire Safe Focus Group.
Yes,
We
yeah.
haven't yet.
Well, yeah, and the fire safe focus group needs to find somebody to fill
Right,
David's big
right.
role. So we'll,
David did a wonderful job during the time he was here.
yeah, I know. I keep emailing him like I'm happy for you, but it's hard to lose you as a community member because he's done so much for us. So yeah, definitely I think we'll all stay in the loop on that. Let's see. Okay, at 7. So I think it's fair to keep it moving. I know, Claudia, you were just on the spot. Are you still here? I don't see you. Oh yeah, I see you over there. Do you want to go ahead and tell us about Bee Butterfly and Bat Street Fair, which will be coming before us, I think. Maybe not, but yeah, you go ahead. You tell us.
Yeah, I would like to do that. I was going to pull up real quick the we have we're working on a WIP, work in progress flyer, and I did send just a very first draft to Christina, and oh good, you got the one I just sent. So the latest one has a real bee. We've had a couple that had little cartoon type bees. They're very cute. So what you see on the top of this is where we plan on blocking off the street. So on the right, oh, hang on a second. I can't see it. You probably can't. Let me minimize this. On the right side is Main Street. So we got a little north there so you can kind of get an orientation. But we'll block it off at the alley going alongside Bob and Jan's and the museum. And then at just on the other side of the Rigdon Hall and the old Brambles. And hopefully we can use both of those parking lots as a way to cut through there. We've already got permission from Rigdon Hall. They have no problem with us doing that. But behind the businesses, there is a street. It looks like an alley, but it's actually a street. It's called Hesperian Way. It just doesn't have a name on it. And it's okay with the county if we use that as a way to get around this particular section when we cut it off. This is just a one-day event. It's merely, like 10 or 11 to 4, something like that. We haven't quite finalized the exact time yet. This is really kind of our bee fair on steroids. We are no longer allowed to use the museum grounds, and so this is our 10th year, and we want it to be bigger and better. A pollination palooza, and a palooza is like a fair. So, but we like the name. So we're expanding. We're hoping to have maybe around 60 to 70 booths. We normally have about 23 booths. So we're going to open it up to more types of things, more different types of food, more types of vendors. We want everything to be homemade. We'll have maybe more than one musical group. And we want everything to be kind of related to the earth. If you look at this flyer, you can't see the whole thing, at least I can't see the whole thing. The bottom of it's darker than the top. That has to do with the event. It all has to do with nature from the earth to the sky. So the bottom of the flyer is dark and the top is white. So it's kind of, I guess, a subliminal message that we're including just about everything that grows out of the earth. So good soil, like using mushroom compost and vermicompost and things like that, to solar telescopes, which we do. If you've come to our event, you know that we've done that every year for quite some time, and they're always a big hit with all ages to be able to look at the sun, the forbidden, for our own personal star. And so we'll continue to do that. The reason I'm here is to answer any questions you might have about it. Oh, but let me go back to the street cutoff. Okay, we're working with Avila Traffic, and I'm working with Philip Betancourt, who he and I have worked together on other encroachment permits. Everyone's on board with this. I haven't talked to the NCAC, but I have to tell you that all the vendors, all the stores that are on Main Street, they're all in favor of this. They're all willing to let us use their space, use electricity if we can, if it's not going to have anybody trip. And they want to be involved, be a part of it. The people in the west end of town many of them want to be a part of it. They want to serve ice cream or whatever, and be part of this community-wide event. We'd like to have the whole county involved, people coming from all over the county, and and I'm already starting a group of people, but I'm sure there's others out there. Y'all can raise your hand if you want to do this. But I really want to have some, like the flash mob thing. I don't want them dressed in, with wings. I want wings dancing down the street and all that. So that's kind of our image of something very joyful and educational, because we'll have speakers as well as different vendors. We're going to have, food displays where, not displays, but where the demonstrations and maybe artistic demonstrations, lots of stuff for the kids, expanded because we'll have more space to do those things. The reason, okay, and let me back to the permit. So working with Philip, he's, we've worked together on other projects. He knows me, he knows Beautify Cambria, and we just have a really good working relationship. So he's been very, very helpful, telling me where to go to get the things that I need. We need, so in other words, we have to have a map. This is just our little map that we put on the flyer, but we'll have an official map that AVLA will make for us, and they will provide the barricades. They will provide the people, the traffic control people, and so we prefer to have them do that. We'd like to have professional people doing it. We've had issues with other events where they've had people who are not trained, and it's kind of caused some problems, and we don't want to have any problems for Beautify Cambria. We like to do things properly, and we like to make sure everybody has a good time and nothing, just want to make sure it goes smoothly. So the reason I'm here is because part of that encroachment permit, and all encroachment permits includes the blessing of the North Coast Advisory Council. So I'm here to humbly ask you if you would be willing to send a letter to the county, and send it to Philip Betancourt in county planning and in the encroachment permit, department. And just if you can just say, hopefully you'll say we're in favor of this event. And that's basically it. And that goes into the record. And it's, anyway, thank you. Thank you for letting me give my little spiel. And anybody has any questions about this, please, if you can allow me a minute or two to answer those questions, I'd be happy to.
Of course. Go ahead. Thank you, Claudia. I'm just obsessed with the fact that you're doing this. Karen, do you want to go ahead? You have a question.
Yes, quickly. Claudia, is this flyer on your website, beautifycambria.org?
No, this is, we are, this event is June 27th of next year. We're
Right.
trying to get way ahead of the game. So we don't have all of these, we have most of these things nailed down because a lot of people are coming back. We have booksellers coming from Los Osos and Morro Bay. So we have,
Okay,
we can't do it yet because we don't have everything nailed down.
Okay, is it reasonable to say, for purposes of the minutes, that this flyer will be on your website in the spring of next year?
This will be on our website probably in December or January. We're really working hard to try to get this out as soon as possible.
That's helpful. That's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen, it's linked. A link to this flyer is in the agenda, which is posted on our site.
Right.
And Claudia, I want to take that down. I know it's a draft, but I just wanted people to.
No. I have that also. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Harry, go ahead. Hi, Harry, and then go ahead.
Just a quick question, Claudia. You said all stores on Main Street are in favor of it. Did you mean all stores on Burton are in favor of it?
Oh, I meant Burton, but many of the stores on Main Street are also in favor. Everyone I've talked to in Cambria, all the business that I've talked to have been in favor. I have not one person who said it wasn't a good idea. So it's meant to be something that's an event for everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other questions. Obviously, I'll forward them to you if they come into me, Claudia. But yeah, I think this is great. So anybody that has anything you want to know from Claudia on this, otherwise I'll be emailing you guys to see if we're all in agreement for a support letter. and we can talk offline if you want. So, all right. So thank you, Claudia. I would move on to a land use discussion if you guys are fine with that. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay. So we have Ian here. Let's see if he's stuck with us.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. And he's going to talk to us about the quarry on Monte Cristo Place that you guys are probably familiar with seeing from Highway 1 as you drive in and out of town, heading south. So yeah, I don't know if you just want to go ahead. Do you want to like share your screen? I know you said you might have something to share, or if you just want to talk, go ahead.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for having me. I've worked just a little bit about me, everybody. I'm a land use consultant at Kirk Consulting. I am a supervising planner there, so we do all things land use consulting, from things as small as single family residences and building permits to hotels and subdivisions and mines. So I've been there for about 7 years. Joined with me today is Jeff Oliveira from Oliveira Environmental Consulting. He has helped work on this project, and he prepared the reclamation plan for the project as well. So he's available to help answer any questions. And I don't know how many individuals have had an opportunity to review the project online. I do have a short presentation I could run through. If people would think that would be helpful to provide an overview, I'd be happy to, or we can answer questions. This is the first time
I
I've
think
attended
it
this
might,
meeting, so yeah.
yeah, it might be helpful only because the package was 500 pages, you know, and so I
Yeah.
think at a certain point, like even I was like, and I like that stuff, and yeah,
Yeah.
so if
No,
you
I
don't
loved it.
mind.
Yeah, of course. So let me just get this set up real quick. Okay. Oh, do you mind letting me share screen?
Yes, hold
Thank
on
you.
let me see. I'm gonna make you a co-host.
All righty.
Okay, do you see that? Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, I think everybody can see this all right. So, for those of you unfamiliar, because I've lived in the county since 2016 and I've driven past this countless times and never even knew it was there. The location of the mine is situated between Highway 46 and Cambria Urban Reserve Line. The existing mine is shown here in the darker hatching. The project site is about 942 acres. It's all agriculture. There's some farm buildings and a single family residence on it, but other than the mining activities, it's primarily just used for cattle grazing. And the mine is located behind a hill. You can't really see the topography on this slide, but there's a large hill right here. So driving at least northbound on Highway 1, it's usually pretty hard to even notice it's there. And then driving southbound, sometimes up here, you can catch a view of it just a little bit. The mine goes back to 1925. So that was kind of the first date this mine was established. It currently encompasses about 9 acres and does 100,000 tons per year. The mine was formally approved in 1975 by the State Mining and Geology Board, and that was through a reclamation plan. So that was prior to land use permit requirements. So this is a vested mine. And basically in the early days, it supplied a lot of the limestone and construction materials for the local infrastructure and really was a main contributor for the area's economic growth. And right now, the mine is kind of nearing the end of its useful life. And the reason we're coming in for this amendment to expand the boundaries is because there's a big regional and local demand for construction materials. And just for an example is the Highway 1 repairs. Caltrans is in urgent need of a lot of these materials. And a lot of the times when these materials can't be sourced locally, they're sourced from out of the county, so Kern County, LA County, or even Nevada. There's been instances, and it's all in the project description, but just in an example, I note it here, but some hauls are going 300 miles to bring materials out of the county. So that impacts our roadways, greenhouse gas emissions, traffic, etc. So there's a lot of local value in expanding the boundary of the mine, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But it also ensures that we're limiting impacts to our roadways, and we're not increasing greenhouse gas emissions while maintaining jobs and tax revenue for our county. And I want to point out that most importantly, this application doesn't actually change the operational use of the mine. So there's going to be no change in traffic, no change in equipment, blasting, noise, hours of operation, anything. We're simply expanding the boundary to allow the mine to continue to be used. So we're envisioning it to be, and I say we, and like I'm the mine specialist, but our operator and client, David Cry, is envisioning that it have a 28-year life extension. And so here's our phasing plan. With phase one, that's going to be one of the larger phases here in pink. And then as we go down, you can see each subsequent phase. The difference, the green here, this is mining operations that are going to continue in the existing boundary. But based on just mining techniques, we have to have a certain cut slope and wall shearing here. So each one of these is a bench, essentially. And so as you bench down, you can continue to bench out as well. So
Wait,
here's that large.
Sorry to
Oh, go
interrupt you,
ahead.
Ann, but can you tell us what a bench is?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, and I can pull up another exhibit, it's not in this plan, but essentially it's just like, I wish I could draw on my screen, but just imagine like how you see orchards on a hill and it's benched down. It's something like that. And I can pull up the grading plan if there's more questions, and we can get into the
No, that's helpful. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was like a bridging or a terracing, but okay, so that's helpful. It's like a gradation kind of situation going down.
Yeah. And so the reason why it's benched in a certain way is because, mines are so heavily regulated by both the county and the state mining and geology board that we have to do a lot of geological and geotechnical studies to ensure that the mining is done in a safe manner. And so we have to meet certain benching standards based on the ground composition. And so we really defer to these specialists to say, hey, what can we do to make sure this is safe, it works, and we can still extract the material? I believe it was, and I'll go back and look, but I believe it was 25 benches at 25 foot out. So like there would be a bench down. God, I wish I could draw. I'll pull it up towards the end because I think it would be cool for everybody. It's really exciting.
Okay, cool. But essentially it's just so it's not like a mountain with a huge hole in it. It's
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And so it gets near the ridge line, but it doesn't actually go up to the ridge line, and that was intentional. Number one is we have a lot of pine trees up here. So when we were designing this boundary, we worked closely with our biologists and Coastal Commission biologists because we didn't want to impact any sort of sensitive habitat. And pine trees are considered sensitive habitat. So along this ridge line, we basically maintained all the trees. We didn't want to create visual impacts from Highway 1. And really, we were focused our extraction in basically just grassland areas where there was the least environmentally sensitive species. And so, going into biological, and Christina, I know you kind of sent me a punch list of questions. We actually put together a little FAQ sheet, which I'd be happy to send out afterwards so people could reference. But there were some questions about, how we're protecting sensitive species, drainages on site, etc. And so right now there's something called a SWIP in place, or Stormwater Prevention Pollution Plan. That is updated annually. It's reviewed by the county and the Mining Resource Board. And that ensures that all BMPs, or best management practices, like silt fences, wattles, you're making sure your erosion control is under control. All of those items are in place to ensure we're not degrading any sort of adjacent streams or groundwater resources. And there is a stream to the west of the mine, but there is a berm that separates it. So that berm, another layer of protection that ensures we're not degrading that groundwater. And for those interested in interested in the biological side of things on this project, I'd really encourage you to read our biology report. It's arguably one of the most thorough reports I've ever worked on. And again, it was in tandem with the Coastal Commission. So we really put our best foot forward to address all of their concerns and really put a defensible and mitigatable project to the county. So we're adding, additional wildlife protection fences. We're going to be doing pre-construction measures for any sort of sensitive species. The list is quite big because we did really want to make sure this was a really good project. Here's the biological habitat map. And so this really, I think, does an excellent job of showing how we meticulously designed the boundary. And so this brown area is the pine. So you can see we made sure that we were outside of the pine areas. We had some flannel bush chaparral here, so we avoided that. We had a drainage down here, some wetland areas down here, and then here's that overall stream. So you can see where this existing mine boundary is located. We'll still do some work in it in this general area as I showed on the phasing plan, but really we're focusing our work over here. So we're straying away from this sensitive area, and we're also creating a larger buffer between this area too. So we're going to make sure all stockpiling, any buildings, and when I say buildings, they have like a little office, like modular out there. All of those items are located farther away from. And when we started, our boundary was a lot different. So we went through a lot of revisions to kind of get here today. Okay. In addition to bio, we did a cultural resources study. There was no cultural resources found on site. We did geology and geotechnical, as I mentioned. And then we also did a visual analysis, understanding that, this idea of removing earth from a hill could be detrimental to some views along Highway 1. And so with that visual analysis, we did a couple of renderings, and we even did like a drive-by video, which is really cool. I wanted to embed it in my presentation, but for some reason it wasn't working. So if we wanted to look at it later, I could download it, or those interested, again, you can look at it online. But I do have the renderings here. So basically you're not going to see much of a difference. And I almost want to go through quickly so you can see the slide by slide change, and I could go back. But here's phase 1, phase 2. So you can kind of see a little bit of this hill going down in the background. Phase 3, no change between the two phases. And then phase 4, you have some of this area in the front be removed. And then as a part of phase 4, we would revegetate with trees. So arguably phase 4 would be the most visually, you would see it the most visually. And so as a part of that, we would be doing vegetation after we finish doing the extraction for 4. I believe the study concluded there was like seconds, like 5 seconds along Highway 1 driving south going 55 miles per hour that this would really be visually seen. You'd have to turn your head. So, right now we're looking at it in a very focused view, but when you're driving, it's probably going to be undiscernible, especially given the how slow extraction is going to occur. You're not going to really notice. And what you will notice is that really the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to see a lot more of the hill behind you. So you're not seeing a lot of the extraction. You see a little bit of it here, but that's all actually existing today. You can kind of see that ridge line here. So really it's just removing the vegetation on the top and then replanting. I hope that wasn't too confusing because I was clicking around back and forth a lot. So happy to revisit it if necessary. That ultimately concludes my presentation. I figured there'd be a lot of questions, so I did just want to kind of open it up. Again, I'm available, as is Jeff. And I did have that FAQ, Christina. I don't know if it would be helpful to run through it. If some of the questions are reoccurring, I can bring it up.
No, yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Okay, that's and thank you for that. And it was helpful for you to click through those because even when I was going through it in the document, I was like, what's changing?
Yeah.
Thank you. Ted, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, I've driven by that quarry on a number of occasions. It's big, and it looks like you're about to make it bigger. I like the idea of the greenhouse gas reduction for sure. I've purchased materials from Cray myself. They closed their store, if you will, off of San Simeon Road some time ago, much to my unhappiness. So I'm wondering if there's will there be any opportunity for just the average Joe like me to be able to buy some materials from these folks? That would be very cool.
Yeah,
No,
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 that
no,
would
because
be
otherwise
cool.
now I have to drive all the way to heck to Paso Robles, which is, really, it's a long way. And I have half-ton trucks, so I can only put like a quarter yard or something,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, Ted. And I think I would clarify that, a lot of this is really large scale. And so what would probably happen is you'd probably buy some of this material from a store and you wouldn't be able to buy it right from the source, right? So a lot of this is going straight to big projects like Caltrans to repair Highway 1. And then some are trickling into local stores, so Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever you get aggregate rock, and then you could buy it from there. Um,
Boy, I sure would like to be able to, access. That was sure handy up there on San Simeon Road, man. I can't tell you how many times I went up there to get materials. That was really a plus. So if you can maybe suggest that
yeah.
they
How
get that
about
going
David
again,
open up?
I'd be most pleased.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ted. But I think you bring up another thing that maybe I don't know if I asked you this, Ian, in that list, but like, so I was able to have like before this came before us, a conversation with Fiscalini about this eventually coming before us, and we had a very interesting conversation about, because I was shocked when I moved here that there was a court. Like, I'm like, wait, we're in a coastal zone and you can barely do this and that and the other, but like they're blowing up like half of this mountain. And so I was asking like, well, what are you doing? Why do you need more? And he was saying like they sent so much out to the Highway 1 repair that now it's kind of like what was allowed, the area that was allowed has been almost, drained of its use. And that then these trucks are coming from hundreds of miles away to come and do that. And it's something that he could actually be servicing. But, so my thought on the contrary, to Ted's point is how much of this actually will stay in county? Does it just become the reverse where then somebody else runs dry and wherever, Bakersfield, and then all of a sudden this is getting trucked out? Like, I know you said there wouldn't be like a difference in like the amount of trucking, but like eventually could there be? Let's say Highway 1's fixed, and then all of a sudden does this start, if he has a surplus, does this start going somewhere else?
Yeah, that's a really
That
good
makes sense?
question. And
Okay.
yeah, no, that does make sense. And like my understanding is that, I mean, there's a huge local demand for it right now. And I'm sure most of you are aware of the mining occurring on the back of Bishops, I believe, the Madonna mine. So that one's picking up a lot of the slack because this mine and other mines aren't able to produce enough. But I don't believe, and maybe there's been some select instances, but my understanding, speaking to Mr. David Cry, is that they're infrequently reaching the maximum amount of export, right? So when it's slower, they're not doing as much, but when there's a big demand, they're working a lot more. And so it's like, in the wintertime, there's this huge demand when there's these emergencies. And so they're working more to do more export more there. But in the slower seasons, there's less export. So I think they balance it out pretty well. And I think the total allotted annual export allowance is a very reasonable cap for what would serve our local area, and probably like up towards Monterey on Highway 1. Again, Caltrans is going to be a big, uh, they're going to need a lot of this material. And so there's just not a lot of mines in our general area. And when I say regional, I would probably mean SLO County, Santa Barbara County, Monterey County. But obviously a focus on SLO County.
Okay, thank you. And I know I wrote down that you had said that this was a vested mine. Could you just explain to us what that means?
Yeah. So when I say vesting, when we think of a land use permit, you go and you get approved at the county planning commission, and then you have X amount of years to get vested. And vested typically means like ground up construction. You're vested once you do ground up construction. In this instance, because this was like a historic grandfathered in mine, the term vesting just means it never essentially got its land use permit, but it is legally established, it is vested, and it has a right to operate.
Interesting. So then this, though, to my understanding, and it's not right in front of me, actually, this would be a use coastal development So this would
Yeah.
be the first time that that's happening, or no, like in 1980, this happened?
So this will be the first time we're getting a land use permit for this mine. And it'll be just for the expansion area. The existing mine boundary can continue operation at whatever capacity it could, because it had an indefinite lifespan. There was no cap on how long it would go.
So interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Kermit, you want to go ahead? Oops, you're muted.
Yes, just a question, a lot of questions, actually. You've got an 8-year outlook on the, is that what I understand when you say the phases, or it has an outlook of 8 years till you get to those phases? What's the existing life of this mine?
So the existing life, I mean, it's nearing the end of its life for certain. There's challenges, like I mentioned earlier, with some of the benching and the geotechnical sides where, and I almost want to pull up that one slide again, just so everybody can look at as I'm talking. So this boundary has an indefinite, there's no time limit on it. It can continue operating until all of it is extracted out. But the reason why we're not extracting these areas until subsequent phases is because, again, per the recommendation of the geotechnical and the geology reports, it needs to be benched in a certain way to ensure it's safe to the mine, right? So this portion of the mine is, if we didn't get this expansion, it's going to be dead soon in a matter of a year or a years. They're doing very little out there right now. The expansion is proposed in a 28 years. So this will expand the life of the mine by 28 years.
Okay. Now, what is the future of this land going to look like? You say you're going to replant it. It's going to be natural. Looks like a good flat area. It'll probably turn into some kind of use if it is flat. Is it? And I don't see grades, and I don't see how steep the wall is that you're leaving, because there's really no dimensions there. So what will happen? And at the end of 28 years, you're going to turn it into a park, a trail, or a condo association? What is it?
Yeah.
And how flat and how steep are those hills? That's part of it, but it has to do with the future of this thing. What is it? The flat areas, because it looks like I don't think you're going to get vegetation back on there if it's all mined out down to where you're run on rock, but you don't run into soil. You run into more rock. It's just a different composition. But how steep are the walls? Can you maintain? You're going to get compost on there? Are you going to haul dirt? Are you going to blast holes for trees? How can you say it's a forested area and grow trees in their picture when there's nothing but soil and steep, or nothing but rock and steep grades in there? And and I don't see the future being what it is. I see your front end, you're eating away at that. See, I look at that every day when I drive down that road. It's not like anybody, I may be the only interested person in the whole area when I watch that thing. But as far as your visual analysis, that's equipment set up there on the hill. It shows, it doesn't show you start from the priority, work back, go all the way to the back and work toward the front. So your cut face at least shields you until you've erased that area behind the hill. Your sequences kind of keep doing what you're doing, only take a right when you run out of things on your main area. But that's my question: is what do the slopes look like? How are you going to vegetate the thing? Where are you going to get the decomposition material to grow trees, other than it's just an absentee cliff? And that wouldn't be bad if you turned it into a rock climbing park or something useful. But I don't see your game plan anything other than, gee, we're going to grow trees, and it shows it on the computer.
Yeah,
it ain't what it's going to be. It's going to be out there. It's not
Yeah, and I think so, Kermit, great question. So Jeff Oliveira, he did the reclamation plan. I think I'll let him chime in. And Jeff, maybe if you don't mind, I'm just going to show. I pulled up the grading plan. I want to show the slopes real quick for everybody's understanding. So when I say the benching, this is what the benching looks like on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see it goes down, it benches out, goes down, benches out. So by phase 4, this is what you have. This line right here is existing. And then this is what the slope is. And when I was talking about that vegetation is only going to be on this slope to screen. All
Okay.
of this is going to be remediated back to ag land and coastal scrub. And Jeff, I think I'll let you chime in. And
What it's going to be remediated to?
Ag land, agricultural land for ag grazing, and coastal scrub, because that is the native habitat there. It's not turning into residential condos, anything like that. We have to bring it back to its original state. There weren't pine trees in these areas. This was all kind of a coastal scrub
Well,
area.
I'm not so sure that isn't, turning it into something commercial isn't a better future for it than just a bunch of benches back there that you try to keep people out of there, because it's a wasteland is what you're making. And that's my point is, haven't you got something more useful than that, than a bunch of benches? Other than mountain goats, you're not going to have a lot going on back there.
Yeah, what's tough, Kermit, is that the property's zoned agriculture, so you can't do commercial uses out here. I guess.
Well, that's today.
Yeah, but it's a
You're going to end up with a public.
986.
You're going to end up with a public nuisance. All you can do is put a fence around it.
Well, it's private. It's private land too. So this is all going to be. It's not going to be access to the public, and they're going to bring in soil. They're going to remediate it, replant it, revegetate it, and stabilize it. And Jeff, maybe you want to jump in and add a little color too, because you did the rec report and it was very thorough.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. My name's Jeff Oliveira with Oliveira Environmental Consulting, and yeah, just to give everybody a little bit of background, the permit for a mining operation requires a reclamation plan, so that's required by the state. And I really encourage everybody to take a look. It's part of the application submittal package. And take a look at that reclamation plan. It's in great detail. And as Ian alluded to, the future reclamation includes stabilizing the slopes. It includes pushing the slopes back to a 2-to-1 slope ratio. It also includes the stockpiling of all the topsoil that is going to be removed in order to access the material. So that topsoil will be stockpiled on site, and it will be seeded and planted so that it maintains its integrity for future reapplication. So the topsoil will be reapplied to the mine site. It'll be replanted. The replanting will be monitored annually for to meet specific performance standards that are outlined in detail in the reclamation plan. And ultimately, the goal is to reclaim the land for what the site is designated as in the zoning code. So this would be agricultural land use and habitat, native habitat restoration. So again, like Ian said, it's this. We're limited to reclamation based on the existing land use of the property. So in this case, agriculture and habitat restoration. So yeah, this is private property. The public doesn't get to access it. And zoning, like was mentioned, can change. That's a whole separate process. And as a private property owner, if the owners want to get into that, they can. But for the purposes of this permit, there is no No part of the application includes rezoning or redistricting the land. It'll ultimately be returned to grazing and replanted and monitored. And that's all laid out in detail in the reclamation plan. And if there's any questions, please feel free to contact us. But yeah, it would be easy to picture them like a moonscape type environment, but it really, like I said, the reclamation plan includes, bringing that land back to its native state and to encourage native habitat restoration and ultimately agricultural use, which in this case is livestock grazing, pushing the slopes back so they're at a safe angle so that livestock doesn't get injured. And that's that. Ian got into some of that detail, but the specifics and the geometry of that is all laid out in detail in that reclamation plan and in the geology report that was prepared for the project. But in essence, that's the summary of the reclamation is reapplication of topsoil, planting, seeding, monitoring, and returning native habitat and agricultural use.
Well, I appreciate those comments, but it looks like you could be better off reclaiming with a picture of Mount Rushmore on there than you would agriculture use. That's as far as I'm going to go. It just seems like the terrain of the final blast wall, the way you bench it retains moisture for plants somewhat, but it doesn't do much for the walls. You'd be better off doing a scarified surface, a little more, try to get the more native curves or natural curves out of the area. That's all I need.
Well, and
Thanks, Kermit.
If you want to like go a little bit deeper and into that report and like have questions, I mean, we haven't scheduled a site visit. I don't know if that is going to be, acceptable or not, but I think, yeah, you've raised some interesting points and I think we can keep digging. I just want to be able to get to more people's questions, if that's okay. All right, Kermit. I'm not kidding. Are we good? Oh, you're muted still.
Well, I guess just the issue of it should be returned to some kind of characteristic landscape form, and your final blast thing with the benches and so forth is not there, and it could be. It's not that hard, you're blasting the wall anyway, but some kind of terrain modification and just steep slopes. I realize it's private land. It's also, frankly, with the steep cliffs that you're proposing, kind of it's like mine reclamation. Sooner or later, it ends up somewhere else because when you're not making money on it, you're not maintaining and making reclamation on it either. So,
and that
I guess to fill out.
I'm glad, and I wanted to chime in real quick. I'm glad you brought that up. Part of the requirements for a mining permit is the posting of a bond with the county by the operator to fund reclamation. In that case, if the operator disappears off the face of the earth, they have to have a bond with the county to pay for reclamation, whether they initiate it or not. So it's required that they post a bond to fund reclamation if they disappear off the face of the earth or falter or decide that they don't want to do reclamation. So it's not an option.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Um, Kermit, are you good if I move on to Brian?
Oh,
Brian, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, I just had a question for Ian. I noticed in your application package, you didn't check off the traffic study as a requirement, and it at least seems to me that this will involve increased truck traffic uh, up and down Highway 1. So, and that, of course, was a consideration with the NCAC and the community with the water reclamation facility um, with the truck traffic there. So there's a question, I think, of increased traffic possibility.
Yeah. No, this is a great point, Brian, and one that we vetted with the county before we submitted. Ultimately, because the operations are remaining unchanged, and really we're just changing the boundary, the amount of material export is remaining the exact same. We're staying at 100,000 tons per year. And because of that, there won't be any change in traffic. It'll be consistent with current operations, which is the baseline conditions. And because those are baseline, they don't need to be evaluated. There'd be no new impacts from what exists today.
So there will not be any increase in quarrying activity, then the total amount of tonnage will be the same as before.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And
Thank you.
Christina, in your FAQ, you had other questions about, are we using other types of equipment, mining techniques, anything like that? And again, I'll send it out, but the answer was no. We're doing the exact same operations as what's there today, so none of that is changing.
All right, thank you. And thanks, Brian. Claudia, do you want to go ahead? I know you've had your hand up.
Hi, we've had a really unfortunate problem with all of the rocks going up and down Main Street. The regulation that is for, I guess, newer quarries is that they are supposed to go out. Well, if they're coming from that quarry, then they already probably are going down Highway 1. But I understand that there's quarry. Doesn't David Cry have a quarry out Santa Rosa Creek Road? Am I
Mhm.
am I wrong about that? Okay, so the trucks that come from the Santa Rosa Creek Road quarry, they go down Main Street, and they're supposed to go out to Highway 1 up past the new elementary school or grammar school. And if you're going to be doing this project, I really think, and you said earlier in your talk about wanting to not increase greenhouse gas and that you want to, you know, be good stewards. But the noise that comes from those trucks and the amount of tonnage, 100,000 tons a year going on Main Street, who's going to pay for that? Are you going to repave Main Street? Probably not. I don't think that's something you do. And the people that live on that street are very unhappy about it. And I've sent notes to David Cry. There are other companies that also use the Main Street, but they're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to drive down that street. That street has residences on there. There are people that live on the ground. There are people that live above businesses. There are business there. There are a lot of pedestrians because of the tourism. It's dangerous to have these big trucks. And I know because I was out there today. We go out just about every Wednesday right now, weeding the three medians that are across the street from the church and the old grammar school. And some go slowly and some go really fast. It's very scary to have those things going by and you're in the median and they're zooming by. And I have talked to the drivers and they just I don't know. They're almost like they're angry that I would even ask them to slow down. And they say they have every right to do whatever they want on that street, and that's pretty much their feelings about it. And I talked to the county, I talked to all the highway people and everything. And what I found out is this is what I found out is that quarry, and I guess now you're saying the Monte Cristo quarry, they were put in so long ago that, like you said, they don't have any permits because they're so old. And so therefore there's no regulations for them. So I'm asking you if you would talk to David Cry and ask him if he would ask his people to not do that, to just, there's an older woman who's owns probably whatever Hearst doesn't own, she owns. And she's one of the people that now lives on Main Street. And I've tried really hard to help this woman. She's older. And there's a lot of people I know that live on Main Street. So anyway, I would really, really appreciate it, since you're working on this project and you want to make everybody happy, that you do something about that, at least for the David Cry trucks. Now, apparently there's other trucks that may be coming down Main Street, but if David would do that, he's a good guy, but I don't know why he's allowing his guys to do this. They didn't used to do this. They used to go out to the highway. So I'm sorry to harp on this, but I'm so frustrated about it. I guess thank goodness that particular project is slowing down, the one up in Big Sur. But as you say, you're still going to continue to have 100,000 tons of this stuff going down the street. And if you could anyway convince them that they should go out on Main Street and up to the highway and avoid going down Main
Claudia,
Street.
sorry to interrupt really fast. I just want to make sure we're all talking about the same thing because I'm a little confused. Are you like the trucks going down Main Street? It was my understanding, because we talked about this a few months ago with the Highway Patrol, that those were coming from Santa Rosa Creek. And then right now we're talking about the quarry on Highway 1 and 46. Are you like implying that the trucks coming from the quarry that we're discussing right now are coming down Main Street? Or just so, because I don't want everybody to get confused, or for Ian to go back and say like the trucks coming from this quarry are, can you
Well,
just
he's been working with David Cry on this project, and David
Oh,
Cry
okay.
that property. And so because they're trying to get this permit, and they're applying to you and to the county and to the Coastal Commission to do this, I would think that they would want to be on the good side of the people that live in Cambria. And he said that. He said he wanted, they want to be good stewards, and they want to, not have.
Okay, so you're saying David Cry has a different quarry that then is sending the trucks down Main Street? Just so I just want to understand. Okay.
I'm just sorry. Just take an opportunity to talk to somebody who has his ear, and let him know that people would really appreciate it if he would have to redirect those trucks.
Okay, and then thank you, Claudia. Also, Darren at Highway Patrol has been willing to work with Cambria on certain restrictions for Main Street. I couldn't take that on as another issue on my own, but if you want to, I'll connect you to.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Okay, cool.
And
Thank you, Claudia.
yeah,
And
Claudia, and I hear you loud and clear. I see what quarry you're talking about. I had to orient myself. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. And then, I'll just point of clarification. While these mines don't have a land use permit, they are still very heavily regulated by the State Mining Resource Board and the county. Even though they don't have a land use permit, the state regulations are arguably more restrictive. But I see where you're coming from. There's nothing that says you can't drive down Main Street. It's be a good actor and don't drive down Main Street. And I totally see that. And I'd be happy to talk to David.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you again.
All right, thank you both. Jeff Bloom, do you want to go ahead?
A couple quick questions. Oops, I think I'm on. To get to Kermit's issue, after the reclamation plan, you wouldn't have the same benching that you had shown. I heard Jeff suggest 2-to-1 slopes when you build it back. So it's not going to look anything like it does at the exact end of the mining of the rock material.
Yes, correct.
Is that right? So you're going to backfill it to a 2-to-1 slope with whatever you've stockpiled and whatever you bring in. Okay. Because I think when you see that exhibit, unless you're raising mountain goats or something, it really doesn't look like an environment conducive to much of anything.
No, I would agree.
Faces, but that isn't the actual finished form after the reclamation plan.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then I took a quick run out just to, lo and behold, a lot of the local contractors in town they get material from there. So like my yard was done from rock from that quarry. It's available. It's just they don't have a retail
Yeah.
outlet like Ted had been alluding to. But what I did notice going out to take a quick look, and by the way, I think your application is really well presented. Um, Particularly the exhibits really help understand where it's going and how the phases get done, and how it visually is impacted from Highway 1. But what I did notice though was it, even in a Forerunner, it was a pretty rough ride to get to the gate. The gates were closed, so I didn't go beyond those, although I have in the past. But what is your obligation in this extended mining application to do some road maintenance and to not, with the heavy loads, you're going to destroy the approach on Highway 1 over time. I think that's one of the concerns in Main Street. That street's so bad anyway that having the heavy trucks on it just beats it to death, creates potholes but the road itself into the mine is really rough. So I was just curious if there's any condition or commitment to do road maintenance in association with extending the mine life.
Yeah, so there is a road maintenance agreement, I believe, already in place with Fissalini, because this road is used to access the house on the property, which is further west. So it's not just used for the quarry, but as a part of the land use permit, there will be a requirement to maintain that encroachment to the correct Caltrans and public improvement standards. And so if it degrades to a certain point, given the frequency of inspections at the mine, that would be flagged and they would have to repair it. The road itself, it's required to be DG based. It's not required to be paved. I mean, these trucks are big, they can handle it. It's private property. So it might not be in perfect condition, but as long as it's compliant with emergency services, and the equipment can traverse it, that's what matters most. I know David, I know that he tries to maintain that road every year, but like you said, there's a lot of big equipment that come down it and it just gets roughed up. So they maintain it every year and it just, it's probably due for another touch up.
Yeah, it's definitely in pretty rough shape, and so
Yeah.
is the shoulder onto Highway 1 where you approach it. And it's probably from all the heavy loads of those big rocks going out of there. They do their damage. And lastly, I don't know, Kermit, it might make you feel a little bit better, but these abandoned, in quote, mines down in Southern California, the land has become so valuable that they've reclaimed them and they're now warehouses, and they literally have imported as much as they exported from the mines and have rebuilt the land.
Well,
So
but that's a
maybe
different form
in
of
100
too.
years here, that'll be the case.
No, it won't be. It's a different form of, it's a flat area that you're talking about. Yeah, you can do that
I'm talking about,
pit, but the cut walls are going to be the bench as shown. And that's my point. I want to blast those cut walls into a more of a native rock cliff.
well,
And
you're talking about contouring it and
that's much,
having outcroppings is what you're envisioning?
well, you
Because
haven't
they're
got
not
the right description there. It's more of just relieving a rough finish than the benches. Blasting the benches out and trying to give it a little more of a natural cliff face. We have natural cliff faces and so forth, but trying to round some areas out so it's not a straight wall, but a more of a characteristic landscape form for a cliff as opposed to a mine.
well.
What you have is essentially Arizona's covered with cliff walls like that because that's where all that shale rock comes from. And I worked on a forest that had tons of those things in there, and it takes a while to get people to change, and those have been going on for years, and they're still there. They'll always be there. You'll never have enough money in bond left to do the work that you need to do if you want to go back any kind of other form. So you got to do it the first time.
Okay, well, Kermit and Jeff, do you guys want to, because we're not voting on this tonight, so we can flush through it throughout the month, and kind
Yeah,
of,
that's fine. I think there's a misunderstanding of what the reclaimed property will look like compared to the mining face as they mine it. So we could meet with them, or we could talk it over on a Zoom call or something.
Be glad to meet with them. I'd rather do it in the field than.
Yeah, and I just shared my screen. If we're looking like here's the benching, and I'm by no means an engineer, but like a 2-to-1, you're going to be looking at like, something like that rather than just benching. So that'll all be fill. That's like a 2-to-1.
What will you fill it with? Your topsoil that you're taking off isn't anywhere near that deep.
You're right. There would have to be imported material of fill. So they would bring in enough material to be consistent with this. I'm not going to pretend like I understand everything in this very technical geological report, but it talks about the stability requirements and what needs to be done, the compaction testing, everything that needs to be done to ensure this end slope is safe, consistent, meets the intent of the land. It can be revegetated.
Okay.
So there's a lot that has gone into it.
I'll tell you what, this is getting to be a long discussion for everybody. Let's meet somewhere and discuss it if for interested parties, as opposed to a group discussion. I don't think it's worth everybody's time to sit here. Why don't we continue this at a different time? That okay, Christina?
yeah, I think that would be great. And Jeff, you're good. Okay, I see everybody's hands are down. Okay, or Jeff Bloom, and then Jeff and Ian, thank you for being here on this. I don't see any other questions. I know you're going to send me that sheet. If there is a video you want to send, I can put the link in. I send out a video from this meeting to everyone. So if you want me to share that video, I'll share that video. And then we'll just be in touch. Yeah, over the course.
So what is, just from my understanding, next steps? So do we come back? Was this considered a full meeting with everybody from the public, or was this?
Yeah.
Okay, it was.
And then when we vote in public as well.
In person or?
No, it'll be this same meeting if we have it in December, which we are going to decide after Dane goes ahead if he's still here. Yes, he's still here. Yeah, so that would take place at our December meeting. That would be yeah.
And would it be like a similar format, or would it just become and answer any remaining questions and then a vote?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we always try to just get to the vote, but inevitably there's always some last minute. So yeah, you're more than welcome, and I'll send you the stuff for that.
Well, I'll send you that list. It has my contact information, which you're welcome to circulate. And if anybody has questions in the interim, they're welcome to reach out.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, thanks everybody. It was nice meeting everyone.
Bye. Thanks for being here.
Bye.
Okay, Dane, I know everybody probably wants a break. Are you guys cool? Dane just had one thing, I think, something to share, and then we can go on break, handle CCSD, and get to sleep.
Just real quick, everyone. And thank you to Ian. I know he just left, and Mr. Oliveira for joining. You got the consultants made my job really easy there. Mason Denning is the county staff planner working on this project also. So not all projects have a consultant, but in this case, you're welcome to reach out to Mason also, in addition to Ian. Excuse me, that came off. And then I know there's been some little separate topic, really quick. I know there's been some interest in accessory dwelling units versus guest houses and how that applies in communities, especially like Cambria, where ADUs are not allowed per the ordinance. I shared with Christina, and I'd be happy to share anyone the links to the specific ordinance sections, which I encourage the group go take a look at. And if, maybe your neighbor has a new guest house, or you're concerned about, an ADU conversion or anything like that, feel free to take a look at the standards, which I don't know, however Christina wants to distribute those, or you can reach out to me. Those would be the standards you could look at before submitting a code enforcement violation if that was a concern. So that's about all for me. And like always, I appreciate the opportunity to join, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you, Dane. And yes, I'll include those. And then I think, obviously this year's almost toast, and the way this quarry situation sounds, if we do have a December meeting, it might be consumed by that and transportation. But I think next year it would be interesting to start to get into some of that, like as we see more of these land use applications coming through for guest houses, but while we also see enforcement kind of be questionable here, yeah, what are there deed restrictions? Are there things that are going to be happening with that? And we do not need to go into that right now. Everybody needs a break, but 2026 is always a good time. So thank you for being here for 2 hours to share that with us. Hopefully the quarry thing was interesting. Anybody have anything for Dane? All right. I don't see any hands, but I know everybody's always happy to have you here. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you all.
All right. Good night. And all right. And you guys, we should take a break, and whoever is going to stick this out for oh, actually, no, let's just decide. December meeting. Kermit, did you get any information that you felt? I know there was the transportation thing that was getting voted on, slow cog, and we thought about doing that in December, and we have the healthcare ambulance station land use application. So funny. I feel like I've said that word so many times that I can't even remember it. That we need to review. We can also do that, a few of us in person, and do an NCAC email if we want to vote that way. Or do you guys want to have a December meeting? I know that since I've been on, we haven't had a December meeting, but
I think that we talked about having Andy Bose and separately from the other presentation of the Barton Drive separated to give more space. But frankly, we could cram them in January where there's probably going to be more people interested in seeing that. Second, so if there is anything that we could do in committee for the, if you wanted to just push everything into the December thing, the land use things, make that a special meeting for that purpose. That may make more sense. I don't know. We don't need to go through the whole agenda again, I wouldn't think, in December.
Interesting. Yeah. What's everybody's December? I know it's like we're all so tired. It's been such a long year. The real question is, does anybody want to come and talk about, vote on the quarry and vote on the ambulance station in December? So yeah, if January became slow cog and December was just strictly a land use meeting, would anybody want to do that or not?
I would vote yes on that.
Karen, you're like, and no, Jen, you can't make it. It's her anniversary.
Come on now.
Karen, what you'll always tell us the honest truth. What do you think?
Wait, Jen said December 10th. That's not when our meeting would be. Is it?
Oh, we weren't going to have Jen.
We're December 17th. But Jen, you're leaving town, right?
No. I read somewhere it was December 10th. I know that's not the third Wednesday. I thought it was incorrect, but that's what I read somewhere. Sorry.
No, you're good. Well, but I mean, chime in. I know it's December. It's the holiday, so I don't know that people necessarily want to.
Well, I have another meeting at 5 o'clock on that night. So I'm here for a meeting, for an NCAC meeting.
That's cool. Brian?
December 17th is the normal time for the meeting, and we have not had a December meeting since 2020, since before 2020. So it would be unusual to have one.
Can the land use issues be shoved off to January? Is there a time constraint?
It's a January meeting is got two presentations by the county that will take considerable time.
And I know that the ambulance station is very much looking forward to answering our questions and us making a recommendation or not. So what we can, and I've already kind of messaged with Jeff Bloom about this, like flush through a lot of those like roadway, public works questions between now and then, but we would have to take a vote. So, I mean, and that could happen over email if anybody wants to read my emails, like over the course of the month. We could do a next door post to just see if the public wants to weigh in, so it's not just us in a vacuum. But yeah, those would be the primary. I would say reason number one would be the ambulance station, and reason number two would be this quarry, just because we're right, I think right at maybe the 60 days or past that for that recommendation.
So it sounds like it would be helpful to have a December meeting because we could knock off the quarry, so to speak,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
not push it off till January.
Yes, I personally think so, as much as I don't want to do it, but I don't want to put that on other people because it's the holidays.
Well, and well, the other thing is that Brian makes a good point that we haven't had a December meeting for a very long time. I mean, not since I've been on the NCAC, but because we don't have a party, which they used to do, I think there's it's not like we've got a reason not to have a meeting. Although if we know that if we could find out now that we wouldn't have a quorum, there's no point.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's everybody thinking? Like, well, I know Cecilia would be here if we're voting on the healthcare district. But otherwise, Chris, you're her alternate. Brian. So Brian, I know you said what you said, but would you be here for a December meeting?
I would be. However, the healthcare district, I've been keeping track of that somewhat with Cecilia and Iggy, and to be honest, I don't know that they're ready for a meeting yet.
Well, we got
they would be January.
referral. They'd be
January.
Yes.
Okay, because she emailed me today asking if we were going to review it tonight. And I told her no.
The last I heard last week, they were not quite ready.
Weird. Okay. Well, Jeff Bloom.
I'm okay for a meeting, but I'm curious what not ready means, because it not ready because they're making changes, or not ready because they don't have a presentation together.
I think it's the latter.
I mean, if they're not ready, I don't see the rush, because there's, as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of problems with not having any public improvements. They don't appear, at least as I read their plans, they're not including sidewalks or curbs or any of the public improvements. And we seem to have a bad habit of public agencies being the ones that do the least public improvements.
Mm-hmm. We're talking to you, Matthew and Harry.
Well, that's certainly been the situation with the skate park.
Yeah. I mean, we keep having this over and over again, and it doesn't, instead of getting better, it's getting worse, from what I could determine from the plans we received.
All right, so how about this? The consensus is we would be open to it. Let me do some digging. Jeff, you and I can talk, see how many questions we can get answered over the next few days from Public Works. Yeah. And then I'll send out an email and just double confirm. Is that cool, Karen?
Yeah.
We'll
Whatever you want.
Necessary. Okay. All right. Can we just take a break, like a 5-minute, and then Matthew and Harry, you guys can send us off. And Kermit, you let me know, do you feel like you've addressed the transportation stuff that we were going to kind of, no, you won't. Oh, you're muted.
Unless we thought somebody wanted to go over the previous applications, I would say, let's just wait for Andy
Okay, cool.
We haven't got any reason to hash it around if we're not going to do any more than sit and watch it go.
Okay, all right. Then let's take a 5 minute and we'll finish with CCSD. Thank you, guys.
Was it? Where's that coming from? Where's that coming from? Where's that coming from? Where's that coming from?
Christina,
Yeah.
for purposes of the minutes,
Uh-huh.
I think I misunderstood something. I thought the healthcare district would do a presentation in January, but it sounds like you're going to find out whether they're going to be ready in December, and then you'll let us know, and then we'll know whether we have a meeting in December. Do I have that right?
Yeah, if that's okay with you.
Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I just wanted to be sure I understood it correctly for the minutes.
Yes, let me check with them, and Jeff Bloom and I will check with Public Works because I know there's a bunch of questions that'll be involved
Okay.
with that. And if it's not realistic, then, you know, we'll just take a break. We'll take a much needed break. All right, it looks like we have everyone. Harry, you want to go ahead? Your liaison report back to the CCSD from NCAC last month was incredible. And it's brought a lot of joy to my household. So thank you, Harry.
Well, your household. Does that mean Ray got really excited? Ray's your dog.
Yeah. Now
Yeah,
you
I
make
know.
Bruce sound like a superhero. So we just, yeah, we're laughing.
Right. Well, before I would give the report from what happened at our meeting, which was a week ago tomorrow, I just want to mention that on Sunday, December 14th, from 1 to 4 o'clock at the skate park, well, the location of the skate park, there's going to be a big celebration, just kind of commemorating all the, let's say, the movement forward that took place this past year. So people of all ages are going to be there, skate park aficionados. There's going to be free hot dogs and music, and just a great time will be had by all. So once again, that is Sunday, December 14th from 1 to 4 o'clock at the skate park. Okay. All right. So with regard to what happened at our board meeting, which was last Thursday, the board approved a contract agreement with Ecotones, a local environmental landscape company, to improve the grounds outside of the wastewater plant on Heath Lane. So it's going to look a lot nicer there. Just the aesthetic appearance. They're going to be using drought tolerant, low maintenance plants. They're also going to be improving some of the grading around there, so no more water collecting around the outside of the plant. So overall, this is a good thing. And the budget adjustment was about $46,000 to have all that done. We also received an excellent 1/2 hour presentation from the company, Badger Meter, regarding the Eye on Water, which is it's a customer portal that allows people to hook up to this Eye on Water, and ultimately they're able to, as well as the district, able to see water use as often as every 1, 2, or 3 days at their own home. So that means that the landowner or the property owner, as well as the district, would be far more quickly be able to detect leaks, both inside the home as well as outside. Therefore, basically, hopefully eliminating all unwanted water usage and therefore any excessive water bills. We received the first quarter budget report. We also had a discussion regarding updating the Fiscalini Ranch Preserve Management Plan. This included comments from FFRP's Executive Director Kitty Connolly and their board chairperson Diane Anderson. We had a board discussion, and ultimately the board unanimously approved a motion to direct General Manager McElhaney to amend the ranch management plan to include the respective roles and responsibilities of both FFRP and the CCSD regarding maintenance of the ranch and the funding and caring of the ranch. We also approved a no-cost agreement with Stag Liusa of New Orleans, and this was regarding PFAS claims. In other words, forever chemicals that exist like everywhere on our known planet. And this is regarding any settlements that might take place with regard to suing various like DuPont or 3M with regard to problems that they have caused. So we're getting involved here with legal services regarding the potential of a class action lawsuit. Basically, we agreed to do this. Oh, so what I should tell you is Utilities Manager Green addressed the potential of there being PFAS in the water and wastewater here in Cambria. And he said basically, in the measurements that we've taken, it's probably about 0.4 parts per trillion in our wastewater. So nothing to be concerned about with regard to Cambria. But what I wanted to mention is, and this is an agreement, like I said, that we have with this company, this law company, and it's no cost. It's a no fee agreement, and that was stated at the beginning of the agreement, and then it was also stated by the general manager. And yet we had members of the public. One of them was attending the meeting, and she said she suggested that we withdraw from this legal entanglement. And then someone called in and said, there's a whole lot of money is going to be spent by the district. So I bring this up because we are constantly the district and the board, constantly being people making statements that have no basis in fact. And this was another example of it right there when we had already, people were already aware of the fact by the agenda item itself. And like I said, what General Manager McElhaney had said, that this was a no fee agreement, and people still thought that it was. So I'm just bringing that up. No financial risk to the district. By the way, I should also mention that these PFAS chemicals, like I say, they exist everywhere. They're in our clothing, our rugs, our packaging, drinking water, dental floss, you name it. 99% of the people on this planet have some degree of PFAS in their body for these forever chemicals. Finally, the ZLD, the Zero Liquid Discharge Pilot Project that was supposed to begin on October 6th still has not been initiated due to various complications. Finally, we had the closed session during lunch. We discussed the contract agreement with the local association of firefighters, and we did a performance evaluation of District Council Tim Carmel. That's my report. I don't think it took too long. Thank you. Any comments, questions?
Too long, Harry. Thank you. Let's see. I don't see any questions. Yeah, so you're good. But thank you, Harry, for sticking this out with us and for
Well,
always
it's no
giving.
problem. It's been very enjoyable. I just want to make a comment that Ian McElhaney, I thought that the presentation that he did was not only tremendously, well prepared, but he was very knowledgeable in addressing any comments or concerns that members of the public or the council made. So it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I agree. He just emailed and was super nice saying, thanks so much to everybody. And I'll share his contact information in the email. Yeah, they seem to be on top of it.
So I guess my final comment is I just hope that General Manager McElhaney doesn't make too many corrections on what I said. Thank
you. Thanks, Harry. Go ahead, Matthew.
Well, soon to be President Farmer did an excellent job, so I'll say that. No, did a great job there as far as some of the updates. As far as ZLD, we're still working through the coordination pieces there. It's a complicated process, so They're fine-tuning their processes, as we say, and we're hoping to have the ZLD kicked off hopefully by the end of November. We'll keep the public updated with that. I already mentioned the grant for the fire engine. I want to show a picture of that. This is actually, give me 1 second. I'll just do my desktop. You guys get to see my emails, and you're still seeing my emails. Stand by.
Oh, I feel like you're always
I know.
sharing.
I always do that. Um, this is an example of what the new engine will look like. Obviously, this is from a different county. I do want to reiterate the tons of support we got from the community, specifically the NCAC wrote a letter of support and the Fire Safe focus group. And that was huge in towards moving this project forward. So that was really welcomed. Some updates on the Stewart Street tanks. So that project's moving forward. I'll show a few pictures here. On the left side, you'll see our original tank. And if you look um, to the left, you'll see that this is a bolted tank. And these tanks don't last too well in our climate. So our new tanks are welded tanks. And so they've been working on this for quite a while now since we early October is when we started laying the foundation, and you'll see some of the things that are going on there in terms of them building it up. And this is some internal shots, and we're getting really close to finalizing and finishing this first tank here. So that's pretty huge for us, and that project's moving forward. And that project had stalled out, obviously for quite a few years, and we finally moved that forward thanks to Utilities Manager Green, and we got some grant funding to backfill that. As uh, Vice President Farmer noted, we are amending the ranch management plan. Obviously, that plan went into effect in 2003, and it's a bit outdated with a lot of outdated language in it. And so we're working with the ad hoc. And so the board did authorize the ad hoc to work with staff on amending that ranch management plan. And we're starting to tweak some language in there. Obviously, we have some budgetary constraints with the ranch, and we're starting to look to essentially refine that ranch management plan so the ranch can be maintained in a manner that is both beneficial to the public and for us fiscally. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot of updates. The water reclamation facility permit is still under review in terms of its environmental determination. So that permit was uh, processed and moved forward, and the information hold was cleared. And so now they are looking at our environmental impact report and subsequent environmental impact report for the county's environmental determination. And once that has been cleared, then we'll move forward to a planning commission meeting, and then it will more than likely be appealed to the Board of Supervisors, Coastal Commission, but that project is moving forward. And again, we'll have more updates on the ZLD as far as our brine concentrate issue here in the next few weeks. And with that, I will take any questions.
Okay, it looks like, oh, Karen's got a question. I was gonna say you were off the hook. Go ahead, Karen.
Thanks. Hi, Matt. Did you say that you hope the ZLD project will begin in late November?
So the pilot project, yeah. So what they're
Okay.
trying to do, they started they're tweaking the apparatus and being ready to start to process the brine concentrate that we have on hand. And so they've got to adjust chemicals and different things like that to make sure that we're operating in the right spectrum, so to speak.
Hmm.
I'm not an engineer, and Clark Easter is the engineer of all engineers, and so he speaks a whole nother language. But there's a few things that we need to tweak before we begin that processing phase. And they started last night and have to make some adjustments. So we're hoping, by the end of November, we'll go full steam ahead in terms of the pilot project. Once,
Right.
yeah, once that pilot project is done and we get the results, then we'll bring forward a more detailed report and essentially what the district would be looking at in terms of whether or not this project will actually work for us.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I just wanted to be sure I had the right month for the minutes.
No, you got it.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see anything else. Wow, is that it? Are we good, you guys? Thank you as always. It's a late one. We can't get around it. So yeah, I'll email you over sooner than later, but over the next week, and we'll just confirm if we're gonna do December or not. Let us connect on the healthcare thing. So thank everyone for being here so late and sticking this out, and happy holidays. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Yes, a wonderful Thanksgiving, and how blessed are we to have this rain? Hillside turning green in November. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Agreed.
All right.
So good night,
Absolutely.
you
Good night.
guys.
Good night, everybody. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.